Welcome back to the second part of this Laguna Canyon Crescent beach. So what I went ahead and put the colors that we're going to use, and I want you to see it's just a one layer napkin, which I have already sprayed, and I'm going to do a little more misting. And what I want to do is remind you that we're not going to paint detail. This is far out in the distance. But one thing I'm noticing is that I think the sky and the horizon area here is not, it's almost too close in contrast. I wanted to have a little more contrast is what I'm saying, I'm trying to say. All right, so we're going to add some of that blue and quite a bit of white to it to make it a little lighter. And now it should be a little bit easier to do the second painting because we already have a nice background, and should be a lot smoother. We're not going to be fighting against the white canvas, and we're doing that same principle, which is trying to get rid of lines. And we're going to have long sweeping strokes. So right away, didn't take long for that value to change. And it's still that beautiful blue. And we got it pretty smooth. See, so that's what it really does help. I sprayed behind like we did the first demo. I did squirt, and I think that helps quite a bit. And then when using a big white brush. All right, so now the next thing I want to do is, while I have some of that lighter color, I'm going to notice, see, this is a darker value. This is a darker value than this down here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit, just a tiny bit of that light. And I'm going to come in with another brush, and like I said, I like the teal when we get closer. I'm using some of that phthalo green. And it helps to break up that color, and it gives you the sensation that you are right here closer, because you can see that beautiful color like in the emerald. All right. So something about the mixture of having a little bit of that ultramarine blue and a little bit of the phthalo mixed together gives you that nice transitional color there. And at this point, my brush strokes are not going as horizontal as they were up here. I'm going a little bit at an angle, because that is the way the waves are coming in, at an angle. So I'm not sure if you notice it, but I wanted to mention it because it's easy to miss. That's that's what I'm doing. All right, so now what I'm going to do, the next thing is I love the lavender, so I'm adding a little bit of blue, the ultramarine blue with the alizarin crimson, and I'm going to add a little more color so that I can get that violet in a little more pronounced. And see how easy it goes in now, because I have it already blocked in with a very so that's that for that background. So all right, and the other thing I think at this point it's a good idea to do is some of those clouds, because it's still, this should still be kind of wet. So at this point I do that, and I come in with a dry brush and soften those edges. Maybe just add a little bit. Okay, so now coming in, it's a little, I want to make it look, I'm adding a little, I added a little white, a little bit of, not pure white, but kind of a very light, almost white, to the dry brush, just to soften those edges further. Okay. I'm going to come back. I'll come back to that in a little bit. All right, so now, while I have this dry brush with a little bit of paint, I notice that right here towards the bottom, there is some, it's a little white trails or something. So it's not just a flat hill. There's trails and things happening back there. So I like to come in. It's usually a good idea to have a little brush that is just kind of raggedy, jaggedy, rickety brush, and you can start stippling up and down. So it looks like it's maybe little buildings on the edge. And you don't want them to be the same size or the same shapes. So it's a good idea right now to squint your eyes and see, where do I see a little bit of white? And like I said, they're not pure white, they're almost off-white. And so every once in a while, maybe just touch a tiny, tiny bit of your raw umber with a little bit of the ultramarine blue and the white. It's going to kill that white, so it's not refrigerator white. It's got just a tiny bit of more believable. Keep it different shapes. Okay, so see, I'm squinting my eyes to see where there's a little more dense buildings back here. And at this point, if it's too solid, you come in here and we can break it up a little bit. See, I have another tiny little square shader, and it has like a little edge and corners, so I can break that up a bit. All right, so now there's way little ones back here, so those little corners give me another level of size and shapes that different from here. All right, now the other thing we're going to do is, and you'll have a chance to come back and reassess that. Right now I'm just giving you an idea of what you're shooting for, but you know, this is going to be maybe just a 15-minute video, but you can take your time a little bit. There's no hurry, and that's the idea. That's what you need to do. Keep all right, so now we're going to come into this area, and what you want to do there is we're going to mix the foliage, which is, we're going to use back to our raw umber, a little bit of that green and the yellow. I'm trying to make kind of a olive green. It's a little bright, so we'll add a little more raw umber and a tiny bit of blue to get our darker greens. All right, so then right in here, I see that, I think at the edge of the, see, just some foliage there, and we're going to come in here and break it up and just walk it all the way to, and some of it's going to go right in this area, which is closer to us, but it's still far away so that we cannot really just have fun with it. It's really good. The pressure is off once you know that, you know what, it's so far away that we can, well, anyways, see how you do with that, and we'll come back next time and continue with it.